Hello everyone, and welcome to the last part of the crafting guide. I hope you've been enjoying this series so far as we head into the last few actions. While the first two will be level 37, the rest will be 50 and above. So let's talk about openers. Some of you might be asking yourselves right now, do crafters even have openers? Well, yeah, actually they kind of do. Let's talk about name of the elements and brand of the elements. These ones are sectional openers. In other words, you don't have to do them at the beginning of a craft. You can certainly focus on quality first, but they are useful at the beginning of your progress section. Brand of the elements normally does a 100% efficiency progress while costing 6 CP. This is less progress than our basic synthesis, which is free. So by itself, Brand of the Elements is just not very good. However, it's not meant to be used by itself. Once per craft, you can activate Name of the Elements, which will increase Brand by up to 200% based on how much progress you already have. So if you have no progress done yet, your brand will now do a 300% efficiency. Since this is based on current progress, that's why it's often used at the start of a craft, or at the very least at the start of working on your progress section. You can actually verify all of this in the Calculations tab. See that it's now 300%? Now I will use it once, and it goes down a bit. And then again. As long as it does more efficiency than careful synthesis, it remains worth considering. Next up, we got muscle memory. This is required to be a first step and does 300% efficiency. It also boosts the next 5 steps if they do synthesis actions. This can be rather common in crafts where quality doesn't matter, such as furniture. This can still be combined with some elements, as it won't reduce it so much that you cannot make use of it. For example, here is muscle memory, veneration, and name of the elements. Compare the brand of the elements to that of careful synthesis. Let's use one and compare again. It also has some popularity in one of the expert recipe openers, where you would use muscle memory, veneration, and try to get a rapid synthesis while both the muscle memory and veneration buffs are still up. And if it fails, you would just quit your craft and start over. This is one of the reasons why rapid synthesis and veneration are up top, along with final appraisal and intensive synthesis in case a good happens while the buff window is still active. There is also reflect. This is also used for some expert recipe openers, and a very common opener for collectibles or things that require high quality. Just like muscle memory, this can only be used during the first step. It will start you off with some quality, but the main advantage is that it gives you 3, not 1, stacks of inner quiet. So this creates a section that is just for openers, though which actions you need will depend on your goal as well as your stats. Since both muscle memory and reflect can only be used on the first step, that means you can choose one or the other, but not both. Technically speaking, there is one more action that can only be used as a first step, but it's going to go on the expanded, and it's called Train Die. Train Die is only useful for old crafts. Right now it's for level 70 recipes and under, though I imagine they might adjust it for the next expansion. What it does is completely fill out the quality bar, which means you literally do not have to worry about quality at all, and only have to worry about progress. But only for doing lower level crafts, including old collectibles, and it only works if you are max level. That's why it's not on the visible hotbars. So if we've got openers, does that mean we have finishers? Sort of. Specifically, there's one action worth talking about, and it's Barago's Blessing. This will do a massive quality increase, which is increased by how many stacks of inner quiet you have, and whether you have any buffs like Innovation and Great Strides up. It does remove the inner quiet buff after, which is why it's used as a finisher of sorts, since you would not want to waste precious durability getting your stacks back up again. Because of this, many finishers are some version of Innovation, maybe one or two other touch actions, Great Strides, and Barago's Blessing. then some synthesis actions to finish the craft. So it makes sense to put it near the buffs. You can also designate 3 classes to become specialists. This will give them 15 CP, 20 craftsmanship, 20 control, access to a few specialist-only recipes, and access to 1 extra ability, careful observation. So let's go over how to become a specialist. First, you need to unlock it. There is a quest called Beloved of the Builder in Mordona that unlocks if you have a level 55 crafter. Then, go to a yellow script vendor or a Rorena's representative and buy a Soul of the Crafter. Next up, head to Edgeguard and teleport to the Athenaeum Astrologicum. Talk to Alderon and select which crafter you'd like to become a specialist. If you already have 3, it will ask you to give 1 up. You can change specializations 3 times per weekly reset. Anyway, this will give you a soul crystal for that crafter that you can equip. So what does careful observation do? It's a very special kind of do nothing. First off, it costs no CP. It will also preserve your buffs, so if you have something like Waste Not, Manipulation, or Innovation, it won't make their buff go down. This also means that Manipulation will not restore you any durability. What you can change, though, is the condition. This can therefore be used to fish for a better condition. Commonly, this is used to try to get a good or excellent for a Byrago's Blessing. Unfortunately, while it may not cost any CP, that doesn't mean there isn't a cost. First, there is a limit. You can only use this 3 times per craft. Second, it uses up an item called Crafter's Delineation, which can be bought with scripts. Unfortunately, this means it is used up during a trial synthesis as well. We've already covered a lot about crafting, but there are a few more actions. Let's talk about our final 3 actions. First, we have Delicate Synthesis. It does both progress and quality at the same time. This can be useful for ranking up inner quiet stacks while at the same time working on getting that progress, all for only 10 durability. As far as where to put it, well, our next 2 actions are going to go up top, so that only leaves this 1 spot below. This means that there will be 1 synthesis action on the main bar on the action button, so do be careful with it. Thankfully, it is a different color, so at least it should be fairly easy to tell them apart. Then, we've got the only 2 actions that cost more than 10 durability. These 2 actions do a bigger touch, or synthesis, but come with a higher durability cost, and a higher CP cost. So, are they worth it? Well, instead of doing a basic touch and a standard touch, which would give you 225% efficiency for 20 durability and cost you 36 CP, you can do a preparatory touch, which will give you 200% efficiency, less, also for 20 durability, and cost you 40 CP, which is more. This doesn't seem like a very good deal. It costs more CP for less efficiency for the same durability, but it does allow you to do this in 1 step if you had a really good buff that was about to run out. The preparatory touch does come with an extra inner quiet, so you'd still get 2 stacks either way. Similarly, Groundwork gives you 300% efficiency in progress. That's the same as using Careful Synthesis twice. This would have the same durability cost, the same efficiency, but would only cost 14 CP with Careful Synthesis, but 18 with Groundwork. So it's not CP efficient, but if you have a Veneration that's about to expire, and you can spare the durability cost, you can get a lot of progress. Overall, I find these actions not that interesting when it comes to regular crafting, but they become a bit more useful in expert recipes. And you might have noticed that this was a recurring theme, where I have said that something might be more useful or used more when it comes to expert recipes. So let's head into our final section. Expert recipes are only in the restoration section for phase 2, 3, and 4, and they are the special ones at the end of the list. Notice that it will say it's an expert recipe, and that's also what the special diamond is for. So what exactly is so different about these, and why does it make certain actions more useful? Well, it's because it gets special conditions that don't exist in the rest of the game. First, we have centered, which increases the success rate by 25%. That means Hasty Touch now has an 85% success rate, Rapid Synthesis is now 75%, and so is Patient Touch. They can still fail, they're not 100%, but getting a center during a muscle memory opener, where you get to use a super strong Rapid Synthesis, can make that opener far more likely to succeed. Sturdy reduces the durability cost by 50%. So you remember how Preparatory Touch cost 20 durability? Now it costs 10. And this does stack with Waste Not or Waste Not 2, so then it would become 5. Suddenly, this becomes a bit more enticing, especially if your craft is going really well and you've got the CP to spare. Pliant reduces the CP cost by half. This is a great time to manage some durability if you need to. Oftentimes you'll end up refreshing Manipulation even if you have it active, if it only has a couple of steps left. It can also be used for doing another action for cheap, such as Prudent Touch. This is in addition to the normal and good conditions you've already seen in the rest of the game. Excellent and poor do not exist in expert recipes. Furthermore, in the Restoration Phase 4 section, there are 2 more special conditions. Malleable increases the efficiency of your progress actions. Pretty simple to understand. Primed means that if you activate a buff or refresh a buff early, you will be granted an additional 2 steps. This is very good for durability management, but you can also choose to use it for longer innovation. If you ever need a quick reminder of what these conditions do, head into the sub-command menu and select Potential Conditions List. Do make use of Trial Synthesis to practice, especially for the expert recipes. With a full understanding of all of the tools at your disposal, and with a little bit of practice, it's only a matter of time before you master the expert crafts. Let me know if I missed anything while I go and quickly show off the full controller setup for a few minutes. Alright, with that, thank you so much for watching. I do hope this was useful, not just as a controller setup explanation, but also as a guide to crafting itself. Let me know in the comment section if you have any questions, tips, and of course, how you fared against the expert recipes. This also means the last remaining controller guide of Shadowbringers will be the level 70 Blue Mage update. See you soon!